We got Noy and Steve. So I want to start with Steve meeting with his friend.
Yeah, let's start there because I want to talk about that. Let's start.
Was it Paria?
I don't know.
I think that's how it was. Because she's coming over to help him ring shop for Noe. Because, you know, he's like, basically, they had rings from the show. But he wants to give her something from his heart that shows how much he cares. And Paria's like, man, that's big, you know, because it showed when you give jewelry or give gifts even, but especially jewelry, it's you know, it really sends a message of how you feel and, you know, how you're communicating that to her, that I value you because I'm getting this for you. I put thought into it because they're on a website picking the band and picking the cut of the diamond, the color of the diamond, the size of the diamond, and all of that stuff. And, you know, because I want to show her how I really feel and how I appreciate how she's shown up in this marriage or whatever. And, you know, Paria's like, you know, this is an investment. And my husband checked the website out, first of all. Second of all, I already knew if you doing this, so it ain't gonna be no cheap ring.
It ain't cheap.
So again, I'm also letting you know I do have some money. Because if I can spend this on this ring and it didn't break me, I still got some more money.
It didn't break you.
I still got some more money. So, considering Steve is doing this, you go to Noy's conversation with her friend Supri. Okay. And the one thing they say is, you know, they haven't seen each other in a while. I'm used to seeing you all the time, but something doing this married at first sight thing, you know, being married, I've been having to put my time in that and not this. So, you know, I miss seeing you. But, you know, how's it been going? You know, some weeks have gone good, but she said some weeks I'm like, you know. And Supri's like, oh yeah, cause I know y'all had this conversation about y'all splitting up tasks. You know, how's that been? And you know, how do you feel about his job plan? Do you feel more secure about that? And Supri's like, I mean, why won't he just get a job? The man, what she don't know is he's spending $5,000 to $10,000.
Correct.
On a ring for you.
Ring for you.
Why don't I just get a job? I have money. I can make money. Why don't I just get a job? This is what her friend said. But anyway, Noy says, you know, he seems to be the type to just focus on one thing at a time. So it's like he's focusing on the marriage now. But Noy's like, but I'm a hustler, you know. Why can't he be a hustler? I do, you know, I work hard. I'm doing this, balancing that. Why can't you work on a marriage and you get a job?
You get a job. That's what she said, though. She's like, why can't you work on a marriage? And you go, like, she did allude to that she's seen him work on some things. That she's seen him putting some things into place. Or managing some things. And Steve is not really, he said when they was at dinner, and jump ahead a little bit, he's like, do you even know what a sales engineer does? Do you know what I do? You know what I've done for the last 4 years? Basically, do you know how much money I made in the last 4 years?
Basically.
What are you saying? Do you know what I did and how much I made and what time and investment I put in? I needed a break. And so this is my break season. And to do that, I was listening to somebody's podcast the other day, and they were like, well, I have enough in my savings or enough in my emergency fund of savings that I don't have to do anything for a whole year. And everything will be maintained. My lifestyle will be good. Everything is great, taken care of. And I may do that when I get married. That I might just take a year off to be with my wife. Is that something wrong?
No, it's not nothing wrong with it. But again, okay, if you have enough to live for a year and pay your bills, okay, so at the end of that, like, how are you going to replace what you spent?
And say what that you made it. But it doesn't mean just because I use my savings to maintain doesn't mean I stop making income. Doesn't mean I stop making money. But
I'm saying, we've talked about this before. That's where Noy is. Okay, so you have money in savings, but once you start tapping into that, how do you replace what you've used? Because
what the business you have is called residual income. You're constantly making it over again. You may use your...
You're not explaining nothing to me. I'm telling you where Noy is stuck at.
Yeah, my bad. You're not Noy. Sorry. But...
Right. And so, but Supri made a point. She was like, you know, the stakes are high in this for someone that you only know for 2 months. And that's her thing. You're trying to understand. Because, again, we talked about this before. You're doing this to come to decision day. And me knowing that you can bring income in, you know, and that we can do this together, which is what Noy says is, you know, that goes into play. So I have to know that this will happen for me to say yes. And so what are you doing to reassure me? Yes, I know you have savings. Yes, I know you got money. But where is the replacement word? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was their thing that they talk about. But we see Noy and Steve go out to dinner. They talk about being ready for marriage. Steve says, you know, I've been ready for marriage for 2 or 3 years. And she was like, how's that? And he was like, because, you know, once I spent more time with my family and getting into that, it made me realize I want a family. I want this, what my siblings have, what my parents have had. I want this for myself.
Right.
And that was the driving force for him, you know, wanting to be married. And, you know, they talked about, well, living separately, digress their marriage. And he was like, you know, I'm not sure. But he's still leery. You know, you said when he talked about it, she says, well, I don't know if it will change much on our bond and the love that we have. And he was like, but it could, though. It could go either way. It could affect him. It could not. It's no telling. I feel like you should just start on an even playing field. Why go out and live on your own? Like, why take that chance? Because being together, we definitely going to build our bond and our love.
Yeah.
Unless something happens. I don't want to take a chance that we may or may not be able to do that when we live separately.
And again, you want to build a family, and then it comes to trust issue too, because I don't know what you're doing when we're not together. There may be somebody else at your 9 to 5 who may like you. There may be somebody else at 9 to 5 that's attracted to you, and you're spending more time with them than you are me. And now we have, because you look what they're doing. You're going from spending time with each other every day to spending time with each other part of the day. That doesn't work.
Or maybe not all day.
Or not even all day. It doesn't work. And so that's the issue that I'm having with this whole situation with them. It's like, it may not work.
Yeah. You know, she says again, she's not completely comfortable with living together yet. And he says, you got to keep this in mind. At decision day, we don't have to have a perfect marriage. But we do have to have enough that we feel like we can. And, you know, she says, I still got questions for her about your work. And he was like, but you've talked to me. You've talked to people I know, people I work with. My track record doesn't say enough. That doesn't help. And she was like, I mean, you know, I talked to them, but I need to see action too. And he was like, I'm a sales engineer. Do you know what that means? It wasn't like I just went down the street and got a job. I put effort into, you know, that career path and doing it. I did it for 4 years. It takes a lot of effort. And you don't see that. And it's like, you know, you say you're working on things, but how does I've heard you say that. You said you're working on things, but how does that translate to money? Like, I'm not understanding how. So that's why I said he needs to show her, okay, so I'm working on this. So if I sold this app for this before, if I can develop another app, I have the potential to make this. You know, it's got to be all like that. Like, she's just not seeing it. And
she's not going to see it because, again, when you don't come from that lifestyle and you don't come from that hustle, or you don't, she's a hustler, but when you don't come from that lifestyle or you don't come from that grind, you're not going to see it. And that's where she's at. She won't be able to see the fact until the income start coming in. Now, because he hadn't had the income come in, it may be an issue. You know what I'm saying? Because she needs to see that.
Yeah, because this is a security thing with her. She was like, I need security, and, you know, I need to know my spouse can contribute. And she says, you know, I can't know what I don't know. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, you have to trust. You have to trust somewhere. You have to put trust somewhere. You
gotta trust the process. So. And she doesn't understand the process that it goes through, or what it takes for him to do the job that he does. Mm-hmm. And it may be, again, you talked about this, and we've talked about this on several shows, that the ebb and flows, where it's up and down, and that ups and down is what makes people feel insecure when it comes to people who have an entrepreneurial lifestyle. Mm-hmm. When people have an entrepreneurial lifestyle, when they have a lifestyle where sometimes I bring in $30,000 in a month. Well, next month I only bring in $5,000. Or then a month after that, I don't bring in anything. Like, what do you do? Where is the status at? How does it help? How do you maneuver? How do you handle that? Can we, not even that, makes you have to budget too and live on a certain lifestyle because it's called irregular income. So how do we handle that situation?
Yeah. For Steve going into decision day, he's worried that she may have held some of her feelings back. Like, we talked about some things, but the way she's built, and she explained that, we've talked about some things, but she's held back some other feelings, and that might affect the decision. When I'm sitting there talking in the bed, about decision day, was there anything you would change? He said, yeah, I probably would have got a job. They both laughed. And he says, and, I probably would have eaten the pasta. Steve is funny. Dry humor. Love it.
Yeah, I definitely love it because he brings it, again, he can laugh at their situation. He can laugh at the circumstances. She laughed a little bit, too.
She said it, too. She said it's funny now, but at the time it wasn't.
Yeah.
They need to come to an understanding to treat each other equally is what he would change. And, that she bucks when he asks her about doing things. That's something that's a drawback for him. And she says, it's a concern that he's probably still been counting things. If I do this, then you do. Like, it has to be 50-50. Which made me laugh, too. When it comes to home task or whatever, you're upset because he wants to do it 50-50. But technically, that's what you're asking with the job thing. I want that to be 50-50.
Yeah.
I want that to be 50-50. You know what I'm saying? If I work, you got to work, too.
Yeah, if I work, you work.
If I make this, you gotta break. So, I think it's funny that she would be hung up on that he wants stuff in the house to be 50-50, but you want stuff 50-50 too.
Well, again, I don't like the living situation. I'm sorry. I just don't like them. I don't like them not living together.
I don't either.
It's not good to me.
I don't
think to me, it's not a good thing. I don't think their marriage will last if those two live apart. Because she's already wishy-washy.
Yeah.
She's already shaky. So if they don't live together, it's going to be a big issue.
Yeah.